This is a 6-sided dice. And this is your grant funding pipeline illustrated with dice. In the early days of your academic or research career, you might apply for 1 grant or fellowship per year. And a typical, fairly competitive scheme might have an acceptance rate of 16 or 17%. And so this is what this 6-sided die represents. The chance of getting any particular number in any particular role is between 16 and 17%. So I'm going to roll this, and each roll will represent 1 attempt at the grant per year, for example. And if you get a 1, it means you're successful, and if you don't, you are unsuccessful. Let's give it a go. 5, unsuccessful the first time. 1, successful the second time. So in this case, you got your grant on your second go, perhaps in your second year of trying. Let's reset and try again. 5, unsuccessful the first time. 6, unsuccessful the second time. 1, successful the third time. All right, let's try it one more time. 6, unsuccessful the first time. 6, unsuccessful the second time. 3, unsuccessful the third time. 6, unsuccessful the fourth time. 6, unsuccessful the fifth time. 3, unsuccessful I can't remember, lost count. 1, successful. Fantastic. Of course, the idea with proposals or papers or anything you submit is that if you are unsuccessful, you try and improve it. So to simulate that situation, I'm going to start with a 1 in 6 chance die for the first roll, but then I'm going to switch to a 1 in 4 die, which represents the fact that you've improved your proposal after the first submission. So let's see how that goes. Rolling the first die. Okay, unsuccessful the first time. We now switch to the 4-sided die. 4, unsuccessful the second time. 2, unsuccessful the third time. 1, successful the fourth time. All right, let's reset and try again. 2, unsuccessful the first time. We switch to the higher probability die. This is a 1 in 4, 25% die. And that is a 1, so you're successful the second time. Let's try it one more time. 3, unsuccessful the first time. You improve the project. 3, unsuccessful the second time. Unsuccessful the third time. Unsuccessful the fourth time. Unsuccessful the fifth time. Unsuccessful the 6th time. Unsuccessful the 7th time. Unsuccessful the 8th time. Successful on the 9th time. If you are still trying and in the game on your 9th try, kudos to you, hats off to you for your persistence and your resilience. Of course, sometimes you're applying for an extremely competitive and prestigious scheme, and some of these schemes have what we call single percentage success rates. And so this is a 12-sided die, and it represents a 1 in 12 chance of getting a proposal accepted. And let's say that those odds are fairly constant because of the level of competition. Let's see how long it might take to get a successful grant in this scheme. Let's see. Unsuccessful the first time. Unsuccessful the second time. Remember, we're trying to get a 1. Unsuccessful the third time. 4th time. 5th time. 30 times. Aha, we got it. 31st time we were successful in this scheme with a 1 in 12 success rate. So that gives you an idea that these low acceptance rate schemes are basically, in many ways, a lottery, and even really, really talented people with amazing track records, a lot of them will apply many, many times and will never be successful. The final concept I want to illustrate with these dice is simply that as you go on in your career, you're hopefully applying for a number of schemes at any one time and have a bit of diversity. And diversity can mean different disciplines, applied or fundamental research, but it can also mean in terms of the prospects of the scheme. So you might be applying for a very competitive scheme that would be amazing, but is very hard to get. You might be applying for a bread and butter scheme represented by this 1 in 6 die that has a reasonable amount of resourcing, and then you might apply for a 1 in 4 scheme that isn't so attractive but has a much higher chance of coming off. And so the idea is that you have a number of irons in the fire, so to speak, at any one time, and we can see how that plays out with the dice. So remember, we're trying to get a 1 in any of these schemes. So none of the schemes were successful this round. Let's roll it again. All right, none of the schemes were successful in this round either. All right, let's try it again. This is our third go. All right, so we've actually landed on 2 of our schemes. The easy scheme, relatively easy scheme, and the mid-difficulty scheme have both rolled 1s, and so we've landed 2 projects on our 3rd attempt. We haven't managed to succeed with the very risky scheme, but that's okay because we have these other 2 schemes. So this is obviously a somewhat simplified account of the pipeline of applying for and getting grants, but it does illustrate a few key concepts. So the first is simply that there's huge volatility. So you can see in the way that I rolled the dice that sometimes grants came up the first time, and in one case I think a grant came up the 31st time it was applied for in a very competitive scheme. So there's huge variation, and so if you track a bunch of equally talented, equally hardworking individuals, you'll see some incredibly successful on paper and some will just strike out time and time again, and that's the nature of the volatility of this system. Another thing is having multiple irons in the fire, so to speak. So if you have a number of applications in the fire at any one time, so to speak, you increase your chances of at least some of them coming off. Obviously, that's like saying 1 + 1 = 2, but once you get into a sort of postdoc or more senior stage of a career, this is definitely something that most people would try and do. And finally, the aspect of diversity in your applications. And so diversity can mean a lot of different things, but in terms of probabilities, having a range of applications in some blue sky, high risk, impossibly difficult to get, but would be amazing if you got them applications, but also some more bread and butter applications that at least have a reasonable chance of getting up. And having a mixture of these on the go at any one time in terms of development and application can be really sensible as a strategy for making sure you have enough resources in your career to do the research that you really want to do.